Hello everyone. I'm Suraj. As is the day 12 of my training session, and I got a couple of questions in the form of assignment. So let's just quickly dive into it. So the first question here is explain OWASP top 10 security risk with example. OWASP is basically an open web application security project where they'll be listing the security risk. So according to them, the first security risk is injection. Injection can be done in many ways, but let me consider this with an SQL injection. As the SQL is structured query language, which means attacker, if he has given a query, say for example, select star from a particular table where name equals to Suraj, 1 equals to 1. So it means all the time this 1 equals to 1 will be getting the through, and he might be able to fetch the data from the particular user. So second, I can consider that the broken authentication, which means if you are saving same email ID, same password in all the websites, so it means if a attacker has got hold on a particular website or any account, so it means he can access the other websites also as the user name and the passwords are same. So next I can consider like the sensitive data exposure, which means if we have saved or if we have sent someone the data or some account number and password in WhatsApp or Instagram or if any social media platforms. So this is called as a sensitive data exposure. So later we can move on to the broken access control. Broken access control, I can say like there will be many permissions given to some uh, peoples. So let me consider that a particular website gives permission for a admin, then guest, then maybe someone who has created the account. So these permissions are different. So if it is broken, say for example, if a guest user can access the admin's profile, so it is not acceptable. So this is the fourth one. Then the fifth, I can consider the security misconfiguration, which means when we are configuring the database, so if we are not configuring it in a proper manner, so there can be some problem or there can be some data leak. So this is the fifth one. Then sixth, I can consider like a cross-site scripting, which means, say for example, a attacker has given some external script on your Instagram post comment section. So it means when my profile, if I'm scrolling and if I'm checking the comment section, so it doesn't mean like he has commented on that. It means like if I'm clicking on that particular code, so it might be like my password or my username will be shared to that particular person. So then later moving on to the insecure deserialization. Okay, the deserialization means that when uh, we want to save a particular data on any website. Say for example, I'm considering a phone which is a black and color 6-inch screen size. So if I want to save this data, so it means I should save in the form of a zero and ones, which means a byte code. So this is basically a serialization. Deserialization means converting from bytecode to the text format. So this is deserialization. If it is insecure, it will be a security risk. So moving on further, if you are using a component with known vulnerabilities, which means application will never be a bug-free application or a website will never be a bug-free website. So it might be having some bug. And if these bugs are known to the attacker or if these bugs are very commonly known by each and everyone, so he can attack at that point and he can get a hand on a particular application or a particular account. So further, there is insufficient logging and monitoring, which means I'm not creating a log for incorrect password or incorrect username. Or say, for example, if someone has accessed my account, I'm not getting the log and I'm not monitoring. This is called as insufficient logging and the monitoring of this particular log. So lastly, there is XML external entities, which means first we were using this XML, but nowadays it has been replaced with JSON. But yeah, in the XML, it would be like some entities would be present where if the attacker would be attacking or placing some external entities, he could have a hands on a particular application, or he could give his own commands on that particular application. So yes, moving towards the next question, what is an endpoint and what are different types of API requests? Explained with the help of an example. Here, the endpoint is basically a location through which the API can access a particular resource. In a simpler word, I can say like it is a URL. So moving on forward, the different types of API requests. The different types of API requests are the GET request, through which we can fetch or get a particular data. For example, if there is a URL or endpoint, say API slash product slash one, which means we are uh, getting the data from the product list and the rank of one. So next, our API request is put request, where we can update the particular data. Then post request, which means we will be posting or we'll be creating a particular data. So moving on forward, that is delete and patch request, which means if you want to delete a data from a particular location, that means we'll be using the delete API request. And if we want to update, or if we are not updating for a longer time, or partially if we are updating a particular data, it means it could be done through the patch request. So moving on to the last question, what are samplers and listeners and load testing? Explain with the help of an example. So before understanding the samplers and listeners, we'll try to understand what is load testing. Load testing is a process by which we apply load on a particular application or a website, and we'll find whether the application or the website is able to withstand that particular load, or we might be checking the stability and the response time of the application. So first, when we are applying a particular load, or if we are giving a number of users, so to create the number of users, or to create this virtually, we will be creating a thread group. So thread group will create the number of users. Then we will be creating a sampler. Sampler means it allows the JMeter to send a particular request. Say for example, HTTP request or Java request, or that particular request will be sent by the samplers. And here the listeners, I can see like when the samplers is executed, in which way or in which manner you need the result. Say for example, you need the result as, is it successfully logged in, or maybe successfully applied on that particular application. So these result, in which format do you need? So this means listeners. It has like a graph format, then a text format, then a tree format. So these are the listeners. Means basically the listeners is a result of the sampler. So yes, thank you so much, guys.